Welcome to Help I'm a Parent, Christian Parenting in the Real World. We're so happy that you've invited us to enter into your home, your church, or wherever you may be gathered today. We're delighted you've joined us in this program as we discuss your God-given role of parenting.
We are your hosts, Drs. Claudio and Pamela Consuegra, and together we serve as the Directors of Family Ministries for the North American Division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We believe that one of the most important roles you will ever play is that of being a parent.
In the midst of a secular society, it's easy to leave God out of the training of our children. The purpose of this series is to not only put God back into the equation, but to place Him at the very center.
Parenting stretches us and shapes us like no other experience on this earth. It is a sacred responsibility, and there's no higher calling. It is a calling that has its shares of joy as well as challenges. It's a calling that demands a big investment on your part if it is to yield results. And yet those returns on that investment will last throughout eternity.
Today we're going to discuss healthy habits. Let's be honest, living healthy demands extra time and in some cases extra money. It's too tempting to stop by the fast food drive-thru and pick up supper on the way home from a busy workday and sit in front of the television and just eat it. The less effort you have to expend, the more appealing it is.
With childhood obesity becoming an epidemic in the United States, it should come as no surprise that researchers recently found that kids today cannot run as fast or as far as their parents could at the same age. In fact, the study also concluded that children today are approximately 15% less fit than previous generations.
Exercise used to be a given. Kids would play outside and gym class was mandatory. Now many schools are focusing more on academics within the classroom and cutting back on areas such as gym class and physical education. And at home, screen time has increased. When you add a sedentary lifestyle and an unhealthy diet, you get an increase in obesity.
One need not look far to see that study after study and researcher after researcher all have come to the same conclusion. The overall health of our children is in decline. What are the issues, and what can we do to make sure our children are instilled with values that help them make better lifestyle choices now and in the future?
Our special guest today is Leah Scott. Leah is currently the Director of Health Ministries for the Allegheny East Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Pine Forge, Pennsylvania. She's also the Health Ministries Coordinator for the Columbia Union Conference of the Church.
Leah serves as the Executive Director of Fit for You Retreat, a health camp where individuals can go to experience a lifestyle change. She holds a master's degree in public health from Drexel University and is happily married. She has 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-laws, and 1 granddaughter. Welcome, Leah. We are so thrilled that you've taken the time to be with us today.
Well, thank you, and I'm very pleased to be here.
Before we begin our conversation with our guests, we're going to visit the home of the Letson family. Let's listen as they share with us on the topic of developing a healthy lifestyle.
As a mother of 2, I'm thinking about the challenges in raising them. One of the topics is about health.
Health, for me, isn't just about what a person eats. It has more to do with their whole lifestyle.
I love to do things as a family because it's part of bonding time, and it's time when we talk to them. We do things a lot together, like hiking, cycling, kayaking, or just walk. And we have connected with a school nearby with their gymnastic program, and my husband is part of the coach, so the children were able to involved with the gymnastic program.
I try to find out what their interests are, spend time with them, talking to them, and finding out what they like to do. With my son, he likes to play basketball. I went ahead and purchased a basketball hoop, and I'll go out there and shoot with him. My daughter likes to ice skate. It's an activity that they enjoy. It's an activity that's no effort for them to do. And they're able to get that time and exercise and develop a lifestyle that they can continue. What we focus on as a family, besides having good, healthy exercise, is controlling the food choices that we have.
I teach them that at least there should be 3 colors in your plate. So it has to be intentional instead of just what comes to mind.
As we sit down and talk about health as a family, they make good choices because we give them information. As a respiratory therapist in the past, I took care of people who didn't focus on their health. And it was sad to see how they ended. And I don't want that for my children. I don't know how long I have on this planet, but it would be nice to see that the teachings that I have taught will be able to pass down to generations and give them the health that God had wants for his children.
The Lettsome family have been very intentional about making specific choices and to guide the kids to make those choices themselves. What can parents do? They have some examples there, but what can parents do to teach their children to develop those good, healthy habits?
Well, actually, we saw it right there.
Yeah,
It really begins with the parents.
that's right.
You know, what the parents do, or what the children are going to do. And when you develop, the sooner you can develop those habits, the better.
Why is that?
Because watching something over and over and practicing it, even in the before tweens, and they're involved in preparing the food,
Right.
and they're eating together as the family was doing, and specifically talking about different foods.
In fact,
and
they were
what's-
not only eating, they were actually preparing the meal that they would eat.
Absolutely. A family that does that together is really phenomenal, and you will see a difference in the number of chronic diseases that we're faced with today.
That was kind of a neat idea about the 3 colors, by the way.
Oh, I
It
loved
was.
that.
But you know, Leah, we have many families today, young parents that say to us, this doesn't work. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I am lucky if I have time to run by McDonald's
Yes.
and get a Happy Meal
Yes.
or something on the way home. And so what do we say to those families that are so busy that it just becomes very, very easy and habitual to just stick a TV, just TV dinner in the microwave and sit on the couch or, this takes effort.
It does.
It takes effort to do what we saw this family do. So what can we say to those busy families today?
Well, we have to be intentional, and we really have to understand, and I don't think a lot of people do, and that's why we have to continue to say we must educate, and you've heard that before.
Right.
So education is key. If the parent is not educated and looking at health, not just what you're eating, but physically, mentally, and spiritually. And you tie those 3 together,
Right.
then it's more meaningful, even with a person that just wants to lose weight. That's not where you start with the food. You have to keep in mind, how would God want us to live? These bodies belong to him. And so as our children are watching, and they're doing, and they're watching us, that really, really makes a difference in getting them involved.
I'm thinking of having been a pastor for many years and having had evangelistic meetings. It's one thing when you grow up believing these principles or living these principles. But what about those folks who just joined the church, are having to make changes in their own lifestyle as adults, and on top of that have to teach their children, and we're looking at ages 8 to 12 when they have already developed some habits. What could we tell them? What would be the best approach they should take to teach their children those new health habits?
Well, that's a very good question. And I was one of those people that did not grow up in the Adventist church.
Okay.
But believe it or not, it was the health message that brought my husband and I into the church.
Okay.
But we were already somewhat healthy. So again, I have to go back to, and this is what I learned, that taking care of your body is an act of worship. And we need to share that in the church more than we do. A lot of times we focus on just the spiritual. But when we really understand that these bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God wants us to have healthy bodies. So as you practice that, even again, before you have children, but when you have children, sharing with them how awesome their bodies are and the potential that they can reach.
Tell us, why does this matter? Why does this matter? What are some of the effects that we're seeing today in children, specifically in this age group, 8 to 12, if they don't opt for the healthy lifestyle choices?
Well, again, this age group is good because it's the counseling age, it's the inquisitive age, and the age where, okay, if mommy does this, I'm going to do this. If daddy's going to do this, I'm going to do this. And if it's a one-parent home, it's the same thing. So we have to mimic and we have to practice.
It's the same thing in what sense, though, because single parents have the extra challenge of having to play the dual role with only one person.
It's very difficult. But if you don't make a plan for yourself, somebody or something is going to. So again, I'm still driving. We have to understand the significance of taking care of our bodies. And it's very hard. It's hard for single parents. It's hard for parents that work at night and single parents or both parents. It just has to be the focus on how important the body is. So one of the things that you can do, perhaps over the weekend, is prepare foods with your child and set it in the refrigerator Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
If you do it for the whole week, it makes it easier to get home from work and then try to prepare it.
Right.
Or if you happen to be at work and the kids are home, at least they already have the meals ready.
And that's a great idea because it will help, you know, with the busyness of the week. That may help. But also, Leah, we've talked a little bit about food choices. So talk with us a little bit about exercise, because we're seeing more and more of our schools that are actually taking PE and some of the recesses out of the curriculum in order to put academics back in. At the same time, we have many of our families that live in large metro areas where, you know, you can't go out in the backyard and play in my high-rise apartment building. And I'm not comfortable sending my child out alone. So what are some of the options for exercise specifically for these types of families?
That's a very good question, and I was hoping you were going to ask that, because once again, we must be creative. We must be creative. We have to share with our children and understand ourselves that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We were made to move. We have over 700 muscles, over 200 bones. Most of them in our hands and our feet. Without moving, we're not going to have good health.
So what kind of creative ideas?
Give us some practical things I can do as that mom in that high-rise apartment building.
Okay, you can exercise inside together. Videos. You can come up with your own type of exercises and then go out together to the park or walk. And I understand inner city that it's a big, it's a risk to go outside. This is something that we have to pray about. The whole idea, though, is go outside and get the fresh air, or as fresh as it can be together whenever you can. But when you can't, move around the house, jog around the house, do exercises together in the house. Let the children come up with the exercises.
Your neighbors downstairs may not appreciate that a whole lot, but...
Well, there's something called power walking. You don't have to jog. And there's also something that you could do, and it's called a trampoline. And they have many trampolines. And when you use these trampolines, and kids love it, You jump on the trampoline, you're not disturbing your neighbors below, and you're moving what's called lymph through your system that builds your immune system. So if you're not moving and you're just sitting all day, we're building
I'm thinking in those people that live in the colder climates, shoveling the snow together would be a good exercise.
Oh my gosh.
For those that live in the warmer climates, go out to the beach, go out to the park. Those kinds of things would probably be very helpful. We're going to continue this conversation after a little break that we need to take.
Right.
So please come back and join us as we talk to Leah about how to maintain that healthy lifestyle for ourselves, but especially for our tweens. You can probably already tell that we will not be able to cover every area, every concern, or every question you may have in the short time that we have together. Parenting will continue to produce new challenges and new questions every day. As our children grow and change, so do the parenting challenges we face.
And therefore, our goal is to continue this conversation with up-to-date resources and practical parenting tips that you can apply in your day-to-day parenting journey. We will do this online via our website, www.helpimaparent.org. And there you may keep up to date on all of our newly released parenting resources, supplemental products, and even find additional materials to download free of charge.
You're also invited to submit any questions that were not answered for you, subscribe to an electronic newsletter, read a blog for parents, and much more. Again, the accompanying website is helpimaparent.org.
And in addition to that website, we also have a Facebook page where we post daily words of encouragement and resources. So look us up on Facebook, Help, I'm a Parent. And remember, share that Facebook post with the friends in your social network.
It is our desire that this resource will assist you in your God-given role as a parent by using principles that are firmly grounded in the Word of God. Now let's get back to our conversation with today's guests.
Welcome back to our conversation with Leah Scott on making healthy lifestyle choices for our children, helping them make those decisions. You know, Leah, before the break, we were talking about food choices and making sure we have healthy food choices for our children. But I have to tell you, when I go to the grocery store and fill my cart with groceries, the most expensive items in my cart are what I get in the produce section.
Yes.
Those fruits and those vegetables are much more expensive than junk food. So talk a little bit to our families, because budgets are tight today. And the financial budgets that I know we work under, and other families as well. How can we make sure our families or my children are having those healthy items, the fruits and vegetables, when my budget is so tight I can't afford it?
Well, that's a good point. And not only are budgets tight, sometimes they're not available in the area, period. So what do you do then?
What do you mean they're not available?
They're just not available grocery stores.
Oh, they don't have stores nearby.
Exactly, that you can even walk to, let alone drive to.
Sure.
They're just not there.
Yeah.
And it can be very expensive to buy these fruits and vegetables that we know build our bodies. One thing I tell people to do, because this is really important, we want to try to get as much fiber in our diet as possible. It will cut down on many diseases. Beans are very inexpensive.
Any particular kind of beans?
Oh, any kind of bean.
Any kind.
Any kind of bean.
Not jelly beans.
Any legume.
Any legume.
The regular beans that grow, not the processed ones.
That is correct. That is correct. And you'd be surprised of the nutritional value, from potassium to high fiber. It's inexpensive. And to eat at least a cup a day, half a cup here and a half a cup there.
You actually feel fuller through the day. You don't get as hungry through the day.
But it's also helping you with your nutrition.
Right.
And there are other things that you can do in terms of the fruits and vegetables, because that's very challenging. And many areas are starting area gardens and community gardens.
Yeah.
And then you can take that and put it in the refrigerator or the freezer, I should say. Have in your churches, in the local churches, have a cooking class
That would
or
be an
a class
interesting
on
project
how
for a
to
church.
freeze or dry fruits and vegetables for the winter.
That would be an interesting project for churches that have a piece of
Absolutely.
land that
Yes.
is basically just nothing but mowing land to turn it into a community garden for their
Absolutely.
church. and
That's a
for the
wonderful
community.
idea. So I think what I hear you saying is that as a parent, if I'm struggling in this area of financially being able or accessibility, it's not accessible, that I need to take the initiative and be aggressive and really look, what are the resources in my particular community? What are some of the options that maybe are available to me that I'm not tapping into to help provide some of these healthy food choices for my child?
And I should say, you can be the mover and the shaker that calls the community
Initiator.
together and just initiate it. And you'd be surprised at how people will respond. And it not only prepares food for your house, but it brings the community together. And then you can go further and say, this is going to be the healthiest community, whatever level it is, in this area.
Starting with your own family,
Starting with your own family.
with your own children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, and I say it over and over, educate your children. Because in the schools now, it's amazing. There's very little food that's very, very nutritional value, has nutritional value.
You know, I'm holding my mini iPad here. Obviously, this comes from a company that is a fruit-like company, right? But the one who started the company, Steve Jobs, and created so many, or at least had the idea for so many of these things, I heard that he did not allow this type of technology in his own home, his own family. Have you heard that?
I've heard it, I've read it, I've studied it, and the only thing I can say is, wow.
So tell us why you think the CEO of Apple limited technology time for his own children in his own home.
There were a few reasons. One, he wanted to be able to control what his children were viewing. He did not want them to be impressed or to be subjected to whatever is on the internet.
Right.
He actually said pornography. And there are different sites that you wouldn't want your children to go to.
Right, right.
Not only that, he knew that it was addictive. And not only that, he says, you know what? You need to be outdoors in nature with your children, moving, building, and just enjoying each other as a family. And as technology increases, that's going to be taken away.
So his decision to limit the use of these devices, screen time in his own home, was because he felt it was directly related to the health of his family.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And their thinking and their growth.
And the one part that I hadn't thought about is that formation of habits.
Yes.
Because the habit of holding this or the iPhone or whatever other device you may have keeps you from developing other habits that actually would be more healthy in nature. And so it's hurting you both ways.
And he actually said, I want my children to have hands-on learning.
You know, one of the things that we haven't specifically talked about is the intake of fluids. Especially young people, but even adults consume a lot of soda.
Oh, yes.
Which has a little bit of sugar or a lot of sugar.
Yes.
So what would be the options? Again, we're looking at healthy options. I know the first one that comes to mind, obviously, is water.
Yes.
Is that the only option?
That is the most important option.
Okay.
I mean, you can even do juices, but there's still a lot of sugar in that.
Even natural fruit juices that you might
Yes,
yourself?
but you would still want, because sugar is sugar. But you would still want to have more water in your body. Our bodies are 70% water, so they need to be hydrated. And when the body is not hydrated, the body doesn't function optimally. Not only that, speaking of sugar, a 12-ounce soda has about 10.5 teaspoons of sugar.
Wow.
But who buys a 12-ounce soda anymore?
Right.
What about, I guess I can't say, I'll just say the big bottle or the big cup. I can't say what it is.
Or like the 16 ounce or the or
Exactly.
32
Go
cup.
home.
And you can supersize it too.
I encourage you and the audience, get little sugar and take 1,
Wow.
2, 3, up to 10 teaspoons, and then double that of sugar.
So if I have 10 or 12 teaspoons of sugar, put it in a little bowl and think,
Yes.
would I give this to my child
Exactly. Just like that.
to eat right now? But I am apt to give them a can of soda. And yet I fail to think or remember that's actually what I'm doing
Yeah.
as a parent. That's actually what I'm handing to them.
Yeah.
That's really a powerful image if you think of it that way.
And that comes back to training. If you train your children on water, that's what they'll drink more than the other.
Yeah. So again, be intentional about creating a plan, creating a list even of good, healthy habits and good things for your children to eat, to do as far as exercise, and to drink. That is a responsibility that you have as a parent.
Exactly. And just remembering that taking care of your body, this is God's body.
Thank you so much for being here
Yes.
and for helping us understand how important it is to take care of our bodies so that our kids will take care of their bodies.
Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And we also want to thank you for joining us as we explored some of the challenges instilling healthy habits in our children. Now it's time for you to open your parenting manual that accompanies this resource. Read the material over and discuss any thoughts or questions that come to mind with your group members. To help you get started, we have included some discussion questions and group activities.
And we also want to remind you to visit our parenting website, helpimaparent.org, and there you will find many additional resources and materials.
As much as you love your children, God loves them even more. He has appointed you as their stewards, their caretakers during their lives on earth. And more important, He has entrusted you with the task of preparing them for their forever home in heaven with Him.
God never said that parenting would be easy, but He did say that He will never leave us or forsake us. The Creator who knit our children together in the womb and has numbered the very hairs on their heads holds the blueprint for their lives. Claim His promise and invite Him to co-parent with you.
Join us next time on Help, I'm a Parent, Christian Parenting in the Real World, when we will discuss ways we can make positive memories that will take our children into eternity. Until then, we pray for the health of your family. May God grant you wisdom as you seek to model a healthy family lifestyle and make healthy food choices. And, in the words of the Apostle Paul, we wish you above all things that you may prosper and be in good health.